Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In today's video we are going to be going all the way back to the N64 and digging out a neat little title called Space Station Silicon Valley. This was a game that was released in 1998. It's one of two N64 games that were developed by DMA Design, and it was part of a free game publishing deal between DMA and BMG Interactive. The other games released as part of this were the original Grand Theft Auto all the way back in 1997 and a game called Tactics, which was released in 1999. Now, many people are already quite familiar with Grand Theft Auto, but Tactics was another interesting title which leaned into a quirky, cartoonish puzzle genre, much like Space Station Silicon Valley does. I remember having a demo of Tactics back in the day, but honestly, not too much more than that. And for anybody interested, the other N64 title that DMA were responsible for was a game called Body Harvest. This, however, was published by Gremlin Interactive in Europe and Midway elsewhere. Body Harvest is another title that I would really like to talk about at some point on this channel, because Body Harvest was sort of a very early open world 3D action game where you sort of had a map to traverse, objectives to complete, but you could make use of a hell of a lot within that map: vehicles, different weaponry available to you. Like I say, it had a bit of an open world design. I've played it on my streams at some point and it's really, really good, and I would like to actually dedicate the time to making a proper video of it. However, that is not today. Today we're going to be talking about Space Station Silicon Valley. Now, for many of you, the name DMA Design is probably better known nowadays as Rockstar North, which they rebranded to back in around 2002. BMG Interactive themselves would go on to be rebranded as Rockstar Games, which nowadays I think people associate more with Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead. However, in the 90s, DMA were probably best known for their work on the brilliant puzzle game Lemmings, which had originally released on the Amiga before being ported to pretty much anything around the time. And I think it still received ports right up until like the PSP. That's how many consoles that game had been put onto. Games of the era might also fondly remember the likes of Walker and Hired Guns as well, which saw big success and acclaim on the Amiga platform. All of those games were published by a company called Psygnosis, which I just kind of wanted to mention because I wanted an excuse to throw in their badass logo. For anyone interested in them, Psygnosis were a developer/publisher, originally founded in 1984. They were bought by Sony in the early 90s, rebranded as SCE Liverpool in about 1999. They were unfortunately closed down in 2012 as part of some assessment of Sony's European studios. But let's get back to Space Station Silicon Valley. Development of this game began in 1995, the year which gave us a chart battle between Britpop icons Blur and Oasis, as well as the weird rise of the acting duo Robson and Jerome in the music charts. 1985 would also see the last episodes of the Jim Bourne-fronted game show Bullseye. Truly a sad time for us all. Originally, the game was supposed to release on Windows platforms, Sony's PlayStation, and the Sega Saturn, but a decision was made at some point during the development process to swap it to the N64. So eventually the game would release on the N64 in 1998. There was a 2D port released on the Game Boy Color about a year later. This port was handled by Tarantula Studios, who would go on to become Rockstar Lincoln at a later date. I can't really find too much information about how well this port did, but one review from the time gave it a 5 out of 10. Interestingly, a studio called Runecraft, who would later go on to be folded into the BBC network, would produce a port for the PlayStation. However, this port was renamed Evo's Space Adventures, and seemed to be quite heavily criticised due to various changes made and poor performance. Now, the version we're looking at is the original for the N64. This managed to garner a very positive response from critics. It currently sits at 83 on Metacritic. It is being praised for its originality, its humour, the graphical style, and the audio. Some criticism came in for its cameras and the inability to save the game mid-level, leading to some frustrations due to difficulty. Now, unfortunately, despite this positive reception from the critics, the game didn't do quite so well commercially. It came out round about the same time as Ocarina of Time, which, as you can imagine, was something of a big deal and got the big marketing push from Nintendo. But as time has gone on, the game has been reappraised and it's often ended up on lists featuring the best underrated games for this system, the most underappreciated games for this system. So there is a lot of love out there for the game. But what is the game? How does it play? It's a third-person platformer with puzzle elements thrown in there. The premise is back in 2001, remember this game came out in 1998, the Silicon Valley space station is launched. And then it vanishes. And then 1,000 years later, it comes back. The duo of Dan Danger and his robot Evo go there to investigate. They crash land and Evo's body is destroyed, reducing him to just the microchip that is inside him. You must, starting as that microchip, get his robot body parts back, as well as investigate what has happened and ultimately stop the station from crashing into Earth. But if you're just a single microchip, how do you do that? Well, the Silicon Valley was launched with a vast number of robot animals inside it. So what you need to do is hijack the robot animals to get yourself through various levels and objectives, picking the right animals for the job. So, let's say as an example you want to cross a river via a platform in the middle because the platform has an item on. Some animals can swim, but if you swim in the river, you can't get up onto the platform because of how high up it is. So you're going to need an animal that can jump. Except some animals can only jump so far, and this particular platform is just a little bit out of reach. So you're going to need an animal that can jump and glide. And that is how the levels play out. You're given an objective, there are optional items to pick up that can unlock additional things, but it's your job to carry out the objective using the animals in the level as best you can. Some can jump, some can attack, some can fire ranged weapons, and some can swim. This game takes place over 4 biomes: European Eden, Arctic Kingdom, Jungle Safari, and Desert Adventure. So with all of this said, let's take a closer look at the game. Our game starts with the opening cutscene showing us how Dan and Evo arrived at the titular Silicon Valley. Almost immediately, I am super charmed by these opening scenes. Just the character designs, the animation style, it evokes that feeling of Aardman animation, you know, the Wallace and Gromit franchise, which, for anyone unaware, is just a really lovely, charming, funny piece of work, and I strongly urge everyone go and check out what is out there after this video. Of course, back to Space Station Silicon Valley. So like I say, really charmed by the opening animation. There's just a nice warmth and familiarity to it, despite the fact that I've never played the game before. Now, the style of animation, the character designs here were obviously an intentional choice due to the limitations of the hardware at the time. They kind of went for this cartoony, lovely Aardman-esque style, and I think it works so well. It's so charming. Into the first level. So this is little more than a simple tutorial level to get us used to the controls of the game. You start out in the body of a dog, you have to find a health pickup and a sheep to transfer into. Pretty clear and simple instructions. Controlling the dog is really easy. Your analog stick is movement, your C buttons control the camera to an extent, B and A are the 2 skills that the animal has, and the R button will transfer you to another body. Very easy to get to grips with. So we set out, we grab the energy pickup, and then we go for the sheep. First of all, you can't just transfer into an animal that's roaming about. Oh no, you have to defeat it first. You have to disable it. So our dog has a biting attack, so we happily attack the sheep as it's moving about and disable it. Then we can transfer into it. Now, simple as it is, you know, we can see maybe one potential flaw that the game's going to have as it goes on, and I will mention it as this bit continues, but controlling the attacks is a little bit fiddly. It's simple enough. You go towards your enemy, you hit the button, and it does the attack, but your enemy is also moving and turning and twisting and roaming and fighting back in some cases. But you're having to move and fight with a camera, which is controllable, but not exactly easy to manipulate while you're pressing the attack button. So, like I say, you can already imagine that when you start to encounter enemies that are going to fight back, things might get a little bit awkward. For now though, the sheep is really easy to take down. Transfer into it, and we get this nice little animation telling us about the sheep we transferred into. It gives us all this key information, the name of it, the skills, water resistance, the type of it, the environment strength, and so on. I love that they did these little intro bits when you transfer into a new animal, because it gives you really useful information at a glance without it being overwhelming. And you do learn as the game goes on that all of this information is actually useful and factors into the game in some way. Now, scattered throughout these levels as well are these orbs that you can pick up. There's about 15 of them in total. There are also hidden trophies in the level, which you can unlock by doing certain actions. So you've got replayability here once you go beyond the key objective. There's a caveat related to the trophies, but I will mention that later. Let's just go on to the next level for now. Another really simple level. 2 objectives: get 4 sheep into the pen, then find yourself a mouse with wheels. The pen in question is this fenced off area with a toggleable switch, which you can use to activate an electronic barrier. So you have to find the sheep, herd them towards the pen. It's an objective that might be familiar to anyone who's played any sort of action RPG, in particular the Zelda games, because it has similar stuff in there. It's one of those objectives, like I say, it pops up in gaming quite a lot, and herding the sheep can be easy or hard depending on the angles you're coming from and how they want to behave. I didn't really have any issues with it, but I might have gotten lucky. Anyway, 4 sheep are in the pen, and now it's on to find the mouse with wheels. Easy enough. And when we go there, we get the required information. It's got a speed boost and a tail attack as its skills, but it's not level resistant. Water resistant, something which will come up as I play through more of the level. And throwing a spanner into the works is the fact that there is another dog in the level that can and will attack you if you are one of the other animals. So you have to be careful. And this level really serves as a neat introduction to how the different animals behave around each other and how they allow you to get to different parts of the level. You see, the dog can jump, but some platforms are too far away from it. So you'll need to use the sheep, which can jump and glide to get you to those platforms. Ultimately, you will need to use the mouse to use its speed boost to launch you off of a platform to get to the end of stage teleporter. That's 2 levels done so far. Super chill, fun to figure out. You've not really got time limits in the levels, so you can just kind of go about analysing them, doing them at your own pace and figuring it all out. It's accompanied by lovely, charming graphics and a cute little soundtrack that might be a little bit repetitive, but it fits with the aesthetic of the game. So let's go on to the 3rd level. 3rd level introduces us to another animal. One that would prove to be quite nasty throughout my play of the first biome. This is the fox. It's really fast, very fast to attack, and very hard hitting. At first, it feels like it's best to avoid them because they will ruin your day. But the penalty for death isn't too bad. You go back to the start of the level, you lose the high score that you've accumulated, and as we mentioned with one of the critiques, the only frustration is that there's no mid-mission checkpoints here. So, because I was playing it via my Polymega, I could make use of save states after key moments, which I do tend to do. I use save states quite a lot on there, not just for ease of recording these videos, but just in case something does go wrong and I need to get back to that point. But if you were playing this on OG hardware or trying to not use save states, you will run into that above issue. You might get so far into a lengthy level, die, and then you're all the way back at the start, and it could be annoying. And it's with these foxes that you'll find that the balance in the game might be a little bit off as well. Some animals are a lot stronger and nastier than others, and as you play through the first biome, you will see this a lot. You're going to encounter creatures that can fire homing rockets, drop bombs, lay mines, or they'll just have a simple tail attack. And when you're in control of the stronger ones, it's all fine and dandy, you know, firing homing rockets at stuff that's far away from you, brilliant. But when you're one of the weaker ones and have to take out the stronger ones, it's very tricky to navigate, not just because of the way the animals move, but because of the way you control. But I play more of the game, I get through that first biome, and this culminates in a really fun and at first frustrating special stage, which you have to fly Evo around in a biplane, going through hoops and then fighting a few waves of enemies. My first attempt at this took ages to get through, but weirdly when I actually went back to record footage for it, I somehow managed to do it first time. It's kind of bizarre how that works. So we're through the first biome, and after this in the second one, which is a winter and ice themed set of levels. I only really recorded footage from the second level here, but I just wanted to show a nice, or should I say ice, array of animals. You've got walruses with rockets, helicopter rabbits, and springy hares. But get through that level, get the trophy, get all the points, and I think played a good chunk of this. It's time to report back with just how I feel about the game so far. I've spent a good number of hours with the game, managing to get through that entire first biome, collecting the majority of extra orbs, tackling that special level, and the main thing that comes out of it playing this game for me is just a sheer sense of joy. I bloody adore this game. Now, there are a few issues that I documented, a couple of little quality of life things that they're always going to get brought up when you look at these older games. Yes, the controls can be a little bit fiddly. Yes, the lack of mid-mission checkpoints can lead to frustration, and maybe there's a bit of a balance problem. But it's very easy for me to look past all of that, because I think this game is just so much fun, so full of charm. It feels incredibly unique. I can't really think of anything else out there that is like this. Now, before I go on, I'll go back to one thing I mentioned earlier. The trophies, something I want to address right now. A standard copy of this game has a glitch in it, which will prevent 100% completion. Players will find themselves unable to pick up the trophy in the Fat Bear Mountain level due to a glitch with that trophy's hitbox. If you're playing it via emulation, or like I was on the Polymega, then there is a freely available patch that you can apply to get around it. I think there's a Game Shark code as well that will circumvent this. But that trophy aside, the game is perfectly playable. I would not say the 100% completion thing is a complete deal breaker. I understand it might be annoying to some, but it's, like I say, the rest of the game is playable, but I know I did want to mention it just in case. But make no mistake, I'm strongly urging everyone, including you, yes, you, go on, get to it, play this game. It is wonderful, and I struggle so much to think of anything I've played like it. And because it was developed by DMA Design, there's this obvious comparison to their earlier puzzle game Lemmings, which is also about employing the right tool for the job at the time. But whilst Lemmings had this constant threat of danger to it, Space Station Silicon Valley felt much more serene. It felt like you were given more time and freedom to assess a situation, and you could just explore it. It feels like a damn shame the game didn't do better commercially. Very understandable given the release date's proximity to Ocarina of Time, and the fact that 1998 was such a landmark year for gaming, but I think it's a game that deserves a second chance. I feel like if it was to be re-released nowadays, it might catch on more. You've got this obvious link because of who developed it and being part of that Rockstar history, but I think in this era when you've got some really beautifully made indie games with very unique aesthetics, the whole world of quirky puzzle games and wholesome and cozy games, it feels like it would have that chance to find a bigger audience. It would slot really nicely in there. So if you can, absolutely check out Space Station Silicon Valley. 100% worth playing, a standout gem on the N64. So with all of that said, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I apologise for not making a video in quite some time. Things have been remarkably busy here, but I'm hoping to get back on it on a much more regular basis. But I have been streaming quite continuously, so do make sure to follow me at JL-Soryu over at Twitch. I do weekly streams there of retro gaming. Please don't forget to like, leave a comment on the video, do subscribe. I want to hear your thoughts. You know, I want to know, is this a game that you loved growing up? Is this a game you remember fondly? Or have I, sort of gotten you to check this game out? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on that. So like I say, hoping it won't be so long until the next video. I've got a hell of a lot of games on my backlog that I would like to get round to and talk about with you all, so do stay tuned for more retro gaming goodness. Until then, thank you once again for taking the time to watch this, and goodbye.